They say in Formula One, mathematics don't lie. 36 points, 4 races remaining, 2 McLaren drivers hunting their first world championship against a 4-time champion who, by all conventional wisdom, should already be planning his winter vacation. But here's what the numbers don't tell you. Max Verstappen isn't fighting McLaren. He's fighting something far more dangerous to Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. He's fighting human psychology itself. Welcome to the most misunderstood title battle in modern Formula One history: the illusion of safety. Johnny Herbert dropped a warning this week that most media outlets treated as typical pundit hyperbole. "You'd be a fool to rule Max out," he said. The headlines focused on the drama, but they missed the psychological warfare buried in that statement. Let me paint you a different picture of what's actually happening in this championship fight. Right now, Lando Norris sits at the top of the standings. Oscar Piastri, his teammate, lurks just behind. Both are experiencing something they've never experienced before: leading a world championship in the final stretch. Max Verstappen, he's done this dance 4 times. He knows every step, every trap, every moment where confidence curdles into catastrophic overthinking. Here's the paradox nobody's discussing. McLaren's greatest advantage, having 2 drivers in the fight, is simultaneously their most profound vulnerability. And Verstappen knows it. Think about the mental mathematics happening in every McLaren strategy meeting. Do you favor Norris because he's ahead? Do you let them race and risk throwing away both championships? Do you implement team orders and risk destroying the morale of whichever driver gets sacrificed? Every decision is a trap. Every race, a new opportunity for paralysis by analysis. Meanwhile, Verstappen's calculus is devastatingly simple. Win everything you can, and watch McLaren's internal contradictions do the rest. This isn't a points battle anymore. It's a stress test. And historically, Red Bull doesn't crack under pressure. McLaren does. The comeback nobody saw coming. Let's rewind to August, post-Dutch Grand Prix. Verstappen was over 100 points behind. The championship was over. Red Bull was in crisis. The RB21 was a disaster. Every pundit, every analyst, every armchair expert had written the eulogy for Verstappen's 2025 season. But here's what they all missed. They were analyzing the wrong variable. Everyone focused on the car's performance. Nobody focused on what happens when you corner an apex predator. Because that's what Max Verstappen is in Formula One, an apex predator. And the most dangerous moment isn't when he's dominant. It's when he's wounded. The comeback wasn't just about Red Bull improving the car. It was about Verstappen accessing a level of performance that only emerges under existential pressure. Herbert called it sheer brilliance. But that term is too soft, too comfortable. What Verstappen demonstrated after the summer break was something closer to controlled fury. While McLaren celebrated their dominance, Verstappen was doing something they weren't: learning. Every 10th McLaren found, he studied. Every upgrade they brought, he adapted to. He was downloading their entire playbook in real time, waiting for the moment when Red Bull gave him even a marginally competitive car. And when that moment came, he erased 2/3 of a 100-plus point deficit in weeks. But here's the truly terrifying part for McLaren. That comeback has fundamentally altered the psychological landscape of this championship. Because now, Norris and Piastri aren't just racing against Verstappen's speed. They're racing against the growing awareness that the championship they thought was secure is slipping through their fingers like water. The Mexico City Grand Prix crystallized this perfectly. Norris dominated, yes, but Verstappen, on a completely opposite strategy, nearly stole second place with a tire compound that had no business being that competitive. He was gambling, McLaren was calculating, and he almost pulled it off before a virtual safety car intervened. That's not racing. That's psychological warfare. That's Verstappen sending a message. I'm willing to risk everything. Are you? The strategy of chaos. Let's talk about what actually happened in Mexico, because the conventional analysis completely missed the point. Laps seemed to confirm this. Verstappen was nowhere. The gamble appeared to have backfired spectacularly, but then something strange started happening. His lap times began dropping. The mediums, which should have been dead, were coming alive. He was hunting down Charles Leclerc for second place. What looked like Red Bull's worst strategy call of the season was transforming into a potential masterstroke. And then the virtual safety car. Sainz crashes, the yellow flags wave. Verstappen's charge dies 2 corners before he could launch his attack. Here's what everyone's missing. It doesn't matter that the strategy didn't work. What matters is that Red Bull is now willing to gamble everything. They're not playing chess anymore. They're flipping the board. This is Hannah Schmitz, Red Bull's legendary strategist, essentially telling McLaren, "We're done playing it safe. Every race from here is controlled chaos. Can you handle that?" Because that's what separates champions from championship leaders. Champions are comfortable in chaos. They've been forged in it. McLaren, they're new to this altitude, and the air gets thin up here. Verstappen isn't just trying to outscore McLaren. He's trying to make them overthink, to make them question every call, to plant the seed of doubt that grows with every race weekend until it's a forest they can't see through. The mathematics of madness. Let's address the elephant in the garage. Can Verstappen actually pull this off mathematically? He needs to gain an average of almost 10 points per race weekend on both McLaren drivers. With 4 races left, that's asking for either McLaren to completely implode or for Verstappen to win everything while both McLaren drivers falter consistently. The odds are astronomical. The probability hovers somewhere between highly unlikely and fever dream. But, and this is crucial, those odds assume linear progression. They assume McLaren maintains their current form. They assume no mechanical failures, no strategy errors, no driver mistakes born from mounting pressure. They assume, in other words, that human beings under unprecedented stress behave like machines. And that's where the entire mathematical model falls apart. Because here's the unique angle nobody's discussing. Verstappen doesn't need to be faster than McLaren to win this championship. He just needs to be more consistent while McLaren cracks under the weight of their own expectations. Every race where Norris finishes second instead of first, every moment where Piastri and Norris take points from each other, every strategy call where McLaren hesitates for even a fraction of a second, those are the moments where mathematical improbability becomes psychological inevitability. Herbert said it best. You can never rule out Red Bull. They always seem to be able to bounce back when you least expect it. Translation: Red Bull has institutional memory of winning under pressure. McLaren has institutional memory of finding creative ways to lose championships they should have won. So here we are. 4 races remaining. 36 points separating Norris from Verstappen. 2 McLaren drivers who've never been here before, facing a 4-time champion who treats pressure like oxygen. The conventional wisdom says Verstappen is done. The mathematics say his chances are minimal. The experts say McLaren just needs to maintain composure. But Formula One has never been about conventional wisdom. It's about who cracks first when the pressure becomes unbearable. It's about who's willing to gamble everything when playing it safe guarantees nothing. Max Verstappen isn't favored to win this championship, but he's also never been more dangerous than he is right now. Cornered, counted out, and completely convinced he can pull off the impossible. And somewhere in Woking in the McLaren Technology Center, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri know exactly what Johnny Herbert was trying to tell them. The points gap isn't the threat. The psychological weapon closing in behind them, wearing number 1 on his Red Bull, that's the real danger. The championship might be McLaren's to lose, but nobody loses better under pressure than someone who refuses to believe they're losing at all. 4 races, 36 points. One question, in Formula One's ultimate stress test, who blinks first?